So today is March 19th, 2020, and we are in the United States. We're in the middle of something more traumatic than just a crisis. We are in the middle of an existential episode for the American people because, I would argue, that our moral base, our moral foundation, to use those words, has really weakened in recent decades. We as a people have become coddled, we've become soft, we've become accustomed to getting our way. And we tend to get our way not in terms of our values, spiritual values, ethical values, but in terms of things. We're a very materialistic people. We are so used to going to a store, and if we see it, it's there, and we buy it. So with people hoarding things like toilet paper, because they're going to be staying inside because of this virus, they might come down, they might be quarantined for 2 weeks, shelves were empty. This was a shocking experience for Americans. I mean, I recalled sort of years ago when I was in Vietnam, and my wife was Vietnamese, and my mother-in-law, being Asian, being with the war that started out in 1945 and things like that, always had a suspicion that things could get worse. So she was never shocked if she went to the market and the particular cut of meat that she wanted wasn't available that day, or the imported brand of French butter or something wasn't available that day. Never mind, she would make do. But I worry that many Americans, we really don't know how to make do. Kids are at home, they're not going to school. What do you do at home with mom and dad when you've had allowances and you watch screen time and you go out and play with your friends and you are coddled? Most American kids these days are the center of their parents' attention, and they don't think very much about how to honor and respect their parents. Now, husbands and wives, maybe they're at home too with the kids. How does a family work which has never really experienced being a family under conditions of adversity, particularly emotional adversity? Then there's another dimension to what's happening now, which is isolation. When you keep people away from their jobs, when you keep them isolated, and I'm not talking about social distancing of 6 feet, I'm talking about you stay all day at home and you don't really see anybody. How do you handle isolation? Isolation undercuts your moral sense of being with other people. It undercuts your sense of being, as Aristotle said, a social animal. And my guess is that's probably uncomfortable. So these two forces, you cannot rely on the materialism. You're more and more isolated. Something is going on inside you, contributes to a greater sense of unease, anxiety, which raises stress levels, which also contributes to panic. You're more prone to believe bad things, and you lose your optimism. So I think this series of phenomena, which we've seen in America the last 10 days, makes the case that the moral aspect of our lives, the ethical aspect of our lives, our values, what we think about others, how we treat others, is really fundamental to the success of our society and to our personal happiness.